people are saying, "Oh, Jeremy, the sermon you preached last time was so short." So I guess people want a long sermon. A servant of Yahweh is bound to what Yahweh tells him to do. So, this is the summertime now. We're summer and the days are long, which means the Sabbath ends late. So if we have like a 4-hour sermon, where are you going to go? Huh? Where are you going to go? So last time we were talking about, and this song came to me because we're talking about kings of Israel, right? And there's been a lot going on in Israel right now. Oh man, just a lot. So we're going to continue looking at the kings of Israel. We're going to learn about them, how they served Yahweh, and how Yahweh looked at their ministry, because being a king is ministry to Yahweh. You are in charge of Yahweh's people. Romans 15:4 says, "For whatever was written in former days was written for our instruction, that through endurance and through the encouragement of the scriptures we might have hope." So we study the king, so we see. Because Yahweh favors nobody. If the way he was to King David is the way he will be to you. Timothy 3:16 and 17 says, "All scripture is given by what? Inspiration of Elohim, and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of Elohim may be complete, thoroughly equipped for every good work." So don't believe the lie that the pulpit is not a place for a history lesson. That's a lie. It's in the history we learn the ways of Yahweh, as we are commanded to learn the ways. Look at how Yahweh dealt back in the day, because Yahweh doesn't change. He deals the same way with you. And I don't know why we seem to think we're so special. We're the only generation that Yahweh just overlooks. I don't know what your mama told you. You're not special. You're just like everybody else. Yahweh is special. He was never created. He exists out of time. But you're not special. And I'm sorry to break your little heart. You're just like everybody else. Last time we ended with the death of King Saul and his 3 sons, that is including Jonathan. And David loved Saul and Jonathan and mourned for them when they died. And the term, "how the mighty have fallen," that comes from the mourning of David for Saul and Jonathan. Now, how many of us would mourn for somebody who tried to kill you twice? Right? But David understood that Saul was under the influence of Satan, but still Saul had the choice, right? Saul was given multiple times to follow Yahweh, to walk in the right way. So you can't just say, "Oh, the devil made me do it." No. You have a choice. Yahweh has given you free will. Saul wanted to kill David and had turned many of his soldiers against David. Oh yeah, wait a minute. I think what's the next slide, please? So David was anointed King David, and that's the last sermon we looked at. And many people were celebrating. Saul killed his thousands, but David his what? Tens of thousands. And that was the hit song, all over. And Saul did not like that at all. But after Saul died and after his mourning, David went about now, because David was living outside of Judea. So he was wondering, can I now go back to Judah? Is my life safe? But instead of just doing that, right? David inquired of Yahweh. He said, after this, David inquired of Yahweh, "Shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah?" And Yahweh said, what? "Go up." David said, "To which shall I go up?" Look at the specificity of what David is asking. I mean, how many of us really ask Yahweh, what shall I wear today? Right? So that it may glorify. Because many of us believers, you just do things because I want to wear this because it makes me feel good. But David asked, well, can I go up into Judah? Judah is the region. But to what city, what town? Or if believers sought Yahweh in all that they did, how easy your path would be. But many of us do things because we like it or because it's popular. But we are the people of Yahweh, and we follow Yahweh. So David went up there, and his two wives, Ahinoam of Jezreel and Abigail, the widow of Nabal of Carmel. And David brought up his men who were with him, and everyone with his household, and they lived in the towns of Hebron. So all the people that were with David, there were many people who didn't like the way Saul was doing things. So David and his family, many people were running around with David. And in Hebron, David was anointed king over Judah, just Judah. And the men of Judah came, that's verse 4, and they anointed David king over the house of Judah. So David is now king of Judah, which is in the south. However, in the north, Abner, the commander of Saul's army, made Ishbosheth, that is Saul's son, king over Israel. Now, can a nation have two kings? I mean, there's going to be problems, right? I mean, here we have two political parties, and boy, they don't agree. It's either Democrat or Republican or left or right, and each one thinks they're right. Only Yahweh is right. Only Yahweh is right. And as the church, we got to stop looking at political parties because they're not. Yahshua never said the Republicans were the light of the world. He never said that. He never said the Democrats were the light of the world either. The church is the light of the world. There are too many believers who are so stuck and who think the Republicans are so righteous. Or the Democrats. The light of the world is the church. And they only have one party. The party of Yahshua. That's it. So Abner took the son of Saul, Ishbosheth, and made him king over Gilead, Hashurites, Jezreel, Ephraim, Benjamin, and where? All Israel. So wait a minute. So David now only has the tribe, and Saul's son is now king over the rest of Israel. Well, that's the problem here. You can't have two kings. Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel. And he reigned 2 years. But the house of Judah followed David. This did not go well. There was a lot of fighting between Saul's house and David's house. There was a lot of fighting in the house of Yahweh. See, David was a legitimate king that Yahweh made. But Ishbosheth was on the throne too. Can there be peace in the house of Yahweh if some are following Yahweh but some are following the flesh? Can we really agree if some come here for Yahweh but some come here for other things? For your wife, for your husband, or because the music is good? We can't agree because the flesh and Yahweh, they don't agree. Light and darkness, they don't agree. It's either dark or it's either light. Where light is, the darkness is expelled. Yahweh said David should be king, but Abner, going by the flesh, made Ishbosheth king. You know, we were at the wedding. Was that last week? It was a really nice wedding with Denisha and Rob, Mr. Bain, Mr. and Mrs. Bain. It was a very nice wedding. But I'm telling you, you got to agree. Because if you don't agree, there's going to be a lot of fighting. There's going to be a lot of fighting. Just ask those who have been married for a while, you know. We are veterans now because we've been married for, if you say 2 years, that's too little, so we count the months, you know. So people, they ask, so how long have you been married? We say 16. Oh, 16 years. Months. You gotta agree. Oh yeah, and I put in the sermon how delicious those paninis were. I must have eaten like 6 or 7 of them. Oh, that was so good. Oh. So we can't agree, if some are going this way and some are going the other way. Can two walk together except they be agreed? You see, they're taking steps and they're going at the same time too. We cannot walk together except we be agreed, and that is why when we come here to worship Yahweh, really everywhere, you must be in Yahweh. You must come here prepared to worship the one and only. Set your mind. Use preparation day for what it is supposed to be. Prepare. Prepare your dress. See, I shined my shoes, yesterday, preparing for today. Iron my clothes, I'm not the best at this, but they were ironed. The heat makes it better, because if you stand in the sun too long, the wrinkles, they naturally go off. Yahweh ironing my shirt. Yeah. Galatians 3:26 said, "For ye are all children of Elohim by faith in who? Messiah, Yahshua. For as many of you as have been baptized into Messiah have put on who? Messiah." Right? So there is neither Jew nor Greek, bond or free, male or female, black or white, or put whatever, because in the flesh, I'm telling you, we are going to fight. There is going to be fighting. There was a lot of fighting in Israel because some followed Yahweh and some followed the flesh. Now, David's military general was Joab, his nephew. And Joab had 2 other brothers, Abishai and Asahel. At one time during all this fighting, many of the soldiers in Saul's army were being killed. So they started to flee, to run away. And Asahel was a really fast runner. Now, who here is a fast runner? Fast runners? Okay. So, fast runners are helpful in the military, because you can catch up to people. Now, the art of warfare today is different. But so, Asahel was chasing Abner, Saul's military general. Now, see, Asahel was not as experienced as Abner in fighting. Abner had been with Saul during the wars. So he was chasing him and he was saying, "Look, Abner, I don't want to kill you. Go back to your people. Why should I be at war with Joab?" But Asahel didn't listen. I think he wanted to make a name for himself. If I kill him, then they will know. But look, Abner is an experienced soldier. And in self-defense, he killed Asahel. And all the soldiers that came to where he had fallen, they stood still, because that was a big blow to them. But the rest of the army, they continued to chase after them. But then when the sun was going down, Abner convinced Joab, "Why should we be killing one another?" So said, "Well, it's time to go home then." When armies got back, David's army had only lost 20 people, but Abner's side 360 people. When you're with Yahweh, doesn't matter how many you are, Yahweh is great. One of the greatest sermons, in my opinion, preached by Sister Teacher Beth is Yahweh's numbers. Because in that you see that Yahweh's numbers, Yahweh shows you that you may have little, but that little can be multiplied to much. And we need to see what Yahshua really did when he fed thousands of people. 5 loaves and 2 fish. Thousands of people that Yahweh can multiply. We don't go by numbers, because that's the fleshly way of looking at things. We go by faith. We know that Yahweh can do great things. That's why A single saint on his or her knees in prayer can bring down an entire army. Do we believe that, saints? Do we really trust Yahweh can do that? We are the light of the world, and many of the problems in this nation can go away if we knew who we were. But some people align themselves too much with the flesh. One man, Moses, Yahweh was prepared to destroy the whole nation and make a whole other nation with Moses. But one man, through following Yahshua, took down an entire nation. An entire nation. One man, Daniel, read the book of Daniel. Through following Yahweh, caused the return of Judah back to the Holy Land. We got to know who Yahweh is. We need to know who Yahweh is. Or that we knew what we had. So Abner, you see, prayer, I really like that image. Because in prayer, Yahweh does mighty things. Abner rose to power. That is Saul's military general. He became very powerful. One day, Ishbosheth, Saul's son, accused Abner of sleeping with one of Saul's concubines. That's a big no-no. Such an act was reserved only for the king. So Abner, doing that, looked like he was eyeing the throne. That, he could be king of Israel. But Abner didn't deny the accusation. But he felt very angry and disrespected. So he told Ishbosheth that he would give the whole kingdom to David, just as Yahweh had promised David. Now, I thought to myself, well, if Abner had known that, why didn't he do that in the first place? See, leaders are usually in charge of people, and you have to know that decisions that you make impact people. Abner should have done that in the first place, and there wouldn't have been bad blood. But sometimes you're so caught up in the flesh, so caught up in the moment, so caught up in the politics, you fail to see what Yahweh is doing. That's why daily sacrificing my flesh before Yahweh, daily setting my mind upon Yahweh. Before you got up today, who prayed? Who prayed? Before you get up, before your feet touch the bed, the floor, pray. Oh, Yahweh, lead me today in the way that you seek me to follow. We have many enemies out there. Saints, you gotta be prayed up. You gotta have your mind state before the day begins. How much death could have been avoided if Abner had simply obeyed Yahweh in the first place? Proverbs 3 verse 5 says what? Let's read it together. Trust in Yahweh with all your heart. All your heart. How many times do people start out strong? If you read through the Kings, you will see that many people obeyed Yahweh halfway. Halfway. That means you only trusted Yahweh with half your heart. It's very few saints who went the whole way, trusting Yahweh in everything. With all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. It's so easy for us to think, well, I can do this because I trust in me. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. How many times? Oh, if we truly believe that. So Abner, seeking to give David the kingdom, as Yahweh has said, he sent messengers to David on his behalf, saying, to whom does the land belong? Make your covenant with me, and behold, my hand shall be with you to bring what? Over all Israel to you. So now Abner was doing the right thing now. But he should have been obeying Yahweh. Now, Saul was a wicked king. In his last days, he was really, really bad. And maybe, Abner was going that way, but at least he came to his senses. Didn't take a man insulting you to wake you up. Abner conferred with the elders, saying, "For some time past, you have been seeking David as king over you." He reminded them all, remember David who took down that giant? What was the giant's name again? Goliath. Him. You wanted him to be your king. Now make it happen. Many times Yahweh gives us things to do, but we're still wondering, is it really Yahweh's will? If it's written in the word, just do it. It's already Yahweh's will. Just do it. When Abner came with 20 men to David, David made a feast for him. Then Abner said to David, "I will arise and go and will gather all Israel to my lord the king, that they may make a covenant with you, and that you may reign over all your heart desires." So David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. So this was where the treaty was being made. That's like when presidents go to the White House and they sit down and they eat and they talk. Abner was doing the right thing. If Yahweh has said that something will be so and so, don't fight it. Yahweh gave the kingdom to David. And if you happen to belong to the camp of Saul, don't fight it. If we follow Yahweh's will, we have no problem. But if we don't follow Yahweh's will, we have problems. Many saints get into this half-heartedness and they wonder why. Why is my life going this way? We're half-heartedly following Yahweh. Joab was not there when this peace treaty was taking place. So he heard, so Abner, who killed my brother, came here and David did nothing. So he was very angry with David. He said, Abner didn't come to make peace. He came to spy on you. When Joab left he sent messengers to Abner, calling him back, saying, David wants to talk to you. But that wasn't the plan. When Abner returned, Joab got him to speak to him privately, saying, and then he murdered him. Joab murdered Abner. See, vengeance is never good. It's so easy to say, you know what? You killed my brother, so I'm going to get you. It's never good. Who does vengeance belong to? To who? Whew. I tell you, it is hot. And I can see some saints, nodding their heads. Not in agreement. They're starting to doze. So let us all stand up and praise Yahweh, huh? Let us give Yahweh a praise. Let's lift up his hands and praise the Most High. We thank you, O Yahweh. All right, that's summer heat. Woo! Joab murdered Abner, and that was wrong. If somebody does something wrong to you, pray about it, but don't seek bad blood. Don't be vengeful. People did terrible things to Yahshua, but he trusted in Yahweh. And that's how we should be. But if somebody's trying to kill you, you can run. You can defend yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. Learn some martial, arts. Learn to kick a little bit here and there for defense. And so Pastor Jeremy taught us to go and self-defense. So all the people, so David told the people to mourn for Abner because he was killed in bad blood. And he gathered all of Israel, and they understood that this was not David's will. And it's very important for leaders to make sure that they send the correct message, because it's very easy for people to say, you know what, this was David's doing. Because many times kingdoms are passed over by death. And David said, do you not know that a prince and a great man has fallen this day in Israel? And I was gentle today, though anointed king. These men, the sons of Zeruiah, and these were his nephews, are more severe than I. Yahweh repay the evildoer according to his wickedness, because Yahweh is just. After this, David was made king over all Israel. Now, I have a question. How old was David when he became king over all Israel? Not 11, no. No. Shout it out. 5, no. Oh, I thought you, oh my. 30, yes. David was 30 years old when he became king. Maybe I should skip the next one. Well, okay. In what city was David made king over all Israel? Where? Hebron, yes. Very good. Oh, my wife, she must have been reading my notes. No, she was studying the scriptures. He was made king in Hebron. Well, what about Jerusalem? Right? Jerusalem has been in the news a lot lately. You know, Jerusalem means the city of peace, but there has been no peace in Jerusalem. You know, Jerusalem is the most contested city in the whole world. More wars have been fought over Jerusalem than any other city. Any other city. So what about Jerusalem? A cup of stumbling. Those who try to move Jerusalem, they stagger and fall. They cannot move it. So who does Jerusalem belong to? Because right now, there is a bitter battle. Some say Jerusalem belongs to the Palestinians. Others say, well, it belongs to the Jews. What does Yahweh say? Joshua 12, verse 7 says, and these are the kings of the land whom Joshua and the people of Israel defeated on the west side of the Jordan. The king of Jerusalem 1, the king of Hebron 1. So Joshua, during the campaign in Canaan, defeated the king of Jerusalem. We are told that. But at the time David became king, Jerusalem was not in the hands of Judah. Why? Judges 1:21 tells us. But the people of Benjamin did not do what? Drive out the Jebusites who lived in Jerusalem. So the Jebusites have lived with the people of Benjamin in Jerusalem to this day. They failed to drive out the Jebusites. Jerusalem was called Jerusalem, or the city of Jebus, the Jebusites. The Jebusites were a Canaanite tribe. Well, what about the Palestinians? The word Palestine comes from Philistine. The Philistines lived on the coast of Canaan. That included modern-day Gaza and all the way up to Joppa, modern-day Tel Aviv, Yafo. Later, the Greeks called the whole area Palestine. In Deuteronomy 2:23 and Jeremiah 47, verse 4, we are told that the Philistines are not Canaanites. They came from the islands of Cyprus or Crete or Greece. Who remembers Samson? Samson, right? Yahweh had Samson marry a Philistine woman. Did you know that? Yahweh had told Israel not to marry any Canaanite women because it would cause them to fall into idolatry. It wasn't because Yahweh was just against the Canaanites. It was because of their deep idolatry. But if a Canaanite repented, Yahweh would forgive him or her. Like Rahab, who was a Canaanite. She repented and is in the line of Yahshua. If you do the timeline, you will see that Rahab lived at the same time as Solomon, the father of Boaz. So Rahab really would very well be in the line of Yahshua. no other person in the scripture is named Rahab. Well, Rahab is a town, and then Yahweh calls Egypt Rahab, but that's not a person. So Jerusalem didn't belong to Israel, and it didn't belong to the Philistines. It belonged to the Canaanites. But that land was given to Israel. The land of the Philistines too was given to Israel. But David conquered it. 2 Samuel 5 verse 6 says, and the king and his men went to what? Jerusalem. Against who? The Jebusites, the inhabitants of the land, who said to David, you will not come in here, but the blind and the lame will ward you off. I guess they thought, well, I don't know how they looked at the blind and the lame there, but I thought David would not take them, take the town because of that. Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion, that is the city of David. And David lived in the stronghold and called it the city of David. And David built it all around the Millo. And David became greater and greater, for Yahweh, the Elohim of hosts, was with him. Now, this goes deeper, right? Because you can say, okay, they just took the land by force. It doesn't really belong to them. But you will see that on the Temple Mount, right, where I don't know how many of you watched what was going on in Gaza was going on the very Temple Mount. In the Bible study today, we were talking about where Abraham went and sacrificed, or almost sacrificed, his son, right? On that very spot there, Brother Maurice was asking if Abraham had only taken, had the intention to go, or only gone one day, isn't that enough? But we said that, you gotta follow through. And you realize that the very spot where Abraham was going to sacrifice his son is the very spot that David bought the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite, I think. And that was where the Holy of Holies was going to be, and where the Temple Mount, where the temple was. So it's a very significant spot. And if you've really looked at all of what's going on, that spot, that's really the problem right there, because it belongs to Yahweh. And he said, I will have my eyes on Jerusalem forever. But it's very hard for people like the Palestinians to think, well, these people just came in here in 1948 and took over this land, because they don't believe the word. And so most of the world actually favors them. But those who love the word and love the truth, they favor the Jews. And that's the way it's supposed to be, because Yahweh did say that he would take the whole world against the nation of Israel. So the word is coming to pass, because Yahweh is true. But we ought to pray for people in Gaza, because it was really bad, there. And, I was thinking about, Gaza, and, the last time Gaza is mentioned in the word is that the Ethiopian eunuch was he was on the road going to Gaza when Yahweh told Philip to go and preach to him. So we could say that by the time the Ethiopian eunuch reached Gaza, that he was born again. So we pray for the people there to be born again. Yahweh can reach, he can do anything, Even with Hamas, who are just a very wicked group, Yahweh can do anything. Israel, Jerusalem belongs to Israel. We know that the Jerusalem Yahweh really is talking about is the city made without man's hands, the new Jerusalem. Because all this, it'll be destroyed, all this, and the new heaven and the new earth and the new Jerusalem that has never been stained by anybody's blood. People want to make peace, and the deal of the century, it won't bring lasting peace to Jerusalem. You could go read Zechariah. It won't bring lasting peace. So we pray for the peace for Jerusalem, but we really only praying for Yahshua to come, because he's the only one who will bring lasting peace. there won't be peace in Jerusalem. No, it's a very, very, very complicated problem. Very complicated. It is. It's like if you try to solve it, it cuts you into pieces. But if you don't solve it, it causes you pain. It's a complicated problem. But Yahweh will come and bring peace. And in that day, he shall judge between the nations and shall decide disputes for many peoples. And they shall beat their swords into what? Plowshares, and their spears into? Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Oh man, Noah won't have a job in the new kingdom. There's no need for militaries. All these huge companies that make weapons, and we're going to turn all those into farming utensils. See, Yahweh likes food. Food is better than war. Can make a lot of food for people. But right now, we're just at war with one another. By the time will come all these huge plants, food. And the food yesterday was really good, by the way. I just wanted to say that. And thank you too for the graduation party. It was I appreciated it, and I thank everybody, and for the sisters who worked so hard to make it a very fantastic day. So I thank you very much, and if we could clap our hands for the sisters who did a fantastic job. And the food was good. Now later, after David was made king over all Israel, and it was in Jerusalem, it was time to move the Ark of the Covenant into Jerusalem. Yahweh should be at the center of your heart, at the very core of your being. Jerusalem is the capital, the center of Israel. At this time, the Ark of the Covenant was in the house of Abinadab, who was probably David's older brother. They carried the ark on a new cart pulled by 2 oxen. Abinadab's sons, Uzzah and Ahio, drove the cart. So those would be like David's cousins. Now one of the oxen stumbled the cart. So Uzzah, just doing the right thing, right? I mean, if something started to fall, you would reach over and try to hold it. Oh, but Yahweh don't play like that. And he struck him and killed him. Now, I don't know if there was lightning. That's probably done for visual effects. But Yahweh struck him because he tried to touch the ark. But I mean, you think about it, isn't that a little bit rash or cruel? I mean, he was just trying to stable the ark. It was falling over. Yahweh got angry and killed him right away. But David also got angry, and he got angry with Yahweh. And then he was afraid of Yahweh. So David said, you know what? We can't bring it into Jerusalem now, so we'll leave it in the house of a man called Obed-Edom. And Yahweh blessed his house and all that he had, because where Yahweh is blessing. So what happened here? Like, what was the mistake that they made? When you look at David's life, before when we started to begin, right? We said that David asked Yahweh whether he could go into Judah, right? And it was very specific. So what was the matter here? David did not ask Yahweh whether he should move the ark to Jerusalem or not. But then you think, well, but the ark really should be in Jerusalem. David didn't ask Yahweh. You don't just go and pick up the ark and move it any kind of way. There is a right way and a wrong way of doing things. First Chronicles says that After David learned that Obed-Edom's house was being blessed, then David summoned the who? Priests, Zadok and Abiathar. Who? The Levites. And said to them, you are the heads of the fathers' houses of who? The Levites. Consecrate yourselves, you and your brothers, so that you may bring up the ark of Yahweh, the El of Israel, to the place I have prepared for it. Because, here's the reason, because you did not carry it the first time, Yahweh our Elohim broke out against us, because we did not seek him according to the rule. David is not a priest. There are rules of carrying the ark. David should have sought Yahweh. Do you see, saints, how leaders, you gotta be careful with every decision you make, because people die when you don't do that. David should have sought Yahweh. Again, I ask the question, do we seek Yahweh in all that we do? Or do we follow what we like? Do we follow what Yahweh says is right? I tell you, if you look like the world and act like the world, there is a serious problem. Because Yahweh's people are different, peculiar, strange. We are strange to the world. Should I get this job? Which college should I go to? Should I date this person? If they're hot in your eyes, they're going to be hot in Yahweh's eyes. Should we buy a house? Which neighborhood should we live in? Where should we have the Feast of Tabernacles? What clothes should I wear? Now you say, no. I got to ask Yahweh every single time. See, if you're walking with Yahweh, a still small voice will speak in your mind and guide you and lead you where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to do. That is what is called being led of the Spirit. There is a right way of doing things and a wrong way of doing things. In Yahweh's house, we do things the right way. We can summarize David's life by saying, and David became greater and greater, for Yahweh, the El of hosts, was with him. David was a good and a righteous king. So David reigned over all Israel, and David administered justice and equity to all his people. I just think like David was a very, very bloody king, because he killed people, and it just seemed really bad. But then you come to think, okay, look at the time of the judges and how Israel was. And so David is coming out of that time, and it was just a time of horrible, horrible lawlessness. But David sought Yahweh. So David, he was just. He obeyed Yahweh for the vast majority of his life. He was courageous, and he did what Yahweh told him to do. David's descendants benefited from his righteousness. Yahweh blessed the children of David. And many of us are blessed even by David's righteousness. And the same was the case for Jonathan, Saul's son. Jonathan was righteous too. At the time, we know how Jonathan died with his father Saul, right? During the battle. Now, at the time that Jonathan died, he had a 5-year-old boy named Mephibosheth. Who here is 5 years old? 5-year-olds? Okay. Nobody. All right. So, Mephibosheth was 5 years old when his father Jonathan died. And then, when the family heard that Saul and Jonathan had died in battle, they decided to run away, because during that time, if the king, and during the wars, because Saul was trying to kill David, they thought, we're about to die. So his nurse picked him up and they tried to run away. But when his nurse was running away, Mephibosheth fell from her hands and he became crippled in his feet. Yahweh, and we could say, oh, David remembered Jonathan, but really, Yahweh caused David to remember Jonathan because Yahweh has promised blessings for the descendants of the righteous. Even David said that, I have been young and I have been old and I have never seen the children of the righteous forsaken. Jonathan's righteousness proceeded after he was gone. Yahweh showed kindness to Jonathan's son and to his grandson. 2 Samuel 9:1. And David said, is there still anyone left of the house of Saul that I may show him kindness? For whose sake? For Jonathan's sake. You see, saints, if we are righteous, even your children benefit because Yahweh will look out for them. And we pray, we hope that our children will be righteous too. And Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, son of Saul, came to David and fell on his face and paid homage. And David said, Mephibosheth! And he answered, behold, I am your servant. And David said to him, do not fear, I'm not going to kill you, for I will show kindness for the sake of your father Jonathan. And I will restore to you all the land of Saul your father, and you shall eat at my table always. That is a great privilege, eating at the king's table. I mean, I'm sure you all enjoyed the chicken yesterday, but the chicken in the White House, oh man, they pick the right chicken from the right farm, feed it the right foods. By the time it hits your mouth, ooh, I would probably quit being vegetarian, That was a hard joke, huh? People are, never mind. I can see the heat is hard. David remains today Israel's greatest human king. He obeyed Yahweh for the vast majority of his life. He was courageous and did what Yahweh told him to do. Righteous parents are a blessing to their children's children. You can't say, oh, what I'm doing only affects me. No, it affects your surroundings and it affects your children and your children's children. Yahweh has promised many blessings for generations to those who obey him with their whole heart. So, follow Yahshua with all your heart, and you will be a blessing to all those around you and for generations to come. May Yahweh bless you.